Hey everybody, this is Bria, and today I want to demonstrate how you can use a great app called Snapseed to drastically improve your camera photos. We open the app, and I'm going to select an image from my camera roll. And the first thing I want to explain, if you look on the left-hand bottom of the screen, you can see what looks like 4 little bars. I'm going to click on that, and that reveals what's known as the histogram. This is really useful information if you're editing on a camera phone, because every screen is going to look a little bit different. Um, you may have different light around your screen while you're editing. Could be bright, could be dark. Your screen might automatically adjust its brightness based on where you are. Okay, so this histogram becomes really useful because it gives you an objective way to see how bright or dark your image is. I'm going to click on the little pencil that's in the circle, and that's going to give me some options. I'm going to choose Tune Image, and I'm going to look at my histogram. When I tap on the image, I swipe up or down to select the aspect of the image that I want to adjust. So here I am on brightness. As I swipe my finger to the right, the brightness of the image obviously increases, and you can also see what happens to the histogram. It starts to climb the wall on the right. Okay, I'm at plus 100 brightness, and that is overexposed. You can tell not only because the image looks too bright, that's probably obvious, but also because the histogram is climbing the right wall. Okay, so in order to make sure that you have a properly exposed image, you're going to want to watch that histogram. And for the most part, you're not going to want it to climb either wall, okay? If it climbs the wall on the left, that's going to mean it's underexposed. The dark areas, you're losing detail. If it climbs the wall on the right, it's overexposed, but you're looking for a good balance, okay? It is climbing the wall just a little bit on the right, but I think that's probably due to that bright spot in the background, which doesn't concern me too much. So I'm using the histogram and also kind of my eye, but I'm bearing in mind that the camera screen may not be a reliable indicator of whether it's truly overexposed or not. Okay, so I've adjusted the brightness. I'm going to swipe up again, and this time I want to adjust the warmth. So as I swipe my finger to the right, the image warms up. As I swipe it to the left, it cools down. Obviously, you see you get more blue, and you get more warm tones, oranges and yellows, when you swipe to the right. I think in general, when you warm your images up, that does a lot just to improve the appearance of the image. To some degree, it's a matter of taste, but in general, I like to warm mine up. Okay. So again, these are global adjustments that we're making to the image. If you had some areas that were really bright, you could swipe your finger to the left in order to tone those down just a little bit. I don't know how well you can see that here, but right or left makes those bright areas of the image. It really changes those. Brighter or darker. If you wanted to have a little more of a color pop in your image, you could up the saturation. And again, all these changes happen to the whole image, okay? So that's important to understand. I think that's all I'm going to do right there as far as global adjustments. The next thing I like to do, clicking my little pencil in the circle again, is go down to lens blur. And this is a great tool because with iPhone photos or camera phone photos, it's not possible when you're taking the photo in the camera to get the blurry backgrounds that often make images pop so well, that make your subject stand out from the background. So we have to fake it, and this is a great tool to help us do that. And I think this alone can add a lot of impact to your iPhone images. So as I scroll up and down with my finger, there's 3 things you can adjust: blur strength, transition, vignette strength. Okay. The blur strength is obviously just as I scroll to the right, those areas outside the circle get blurrier, and as I scroll to the left, they get less blurry. I think the hardest part of using this tool is doing it in a way that is believable. So too much, and you can definitely get the sense that, wow, that looks photoshopped and doesn't look real, but so it's a balance, and you may have to play with it. The transition controls how big that area is between the part of the image that's in focus and the part that's out of focus. You can play with that as well, but in general, you're going to want to have anything that's on the same focal plane in focus. You can also use your 2 fingers to change change the area that you want in focus. Okay, so I think I mainly want the focus on those flowers in the middle, because that was where my focal point was when I took the photo. So I like that. I also do like to add some vignette, because that would normally happen with a DSLR lens. That would just be something that would naturally happen. So I like to add a little vignette. I think that looks good. I might go back to my blur strength. I might decrease it just a little, just to play it safe. I still think it looks lots better than just when it was taken with the iPhone camera. Okay, so that's that. I hit the check mark. The next thing I would like to adjust is using the brush. Okay, this is powerful because this allows us to make selective adjustments to our images. Okay, so I'm going to click on exposure. I like to go about 0.3, and this can be fun for just adding a little light to your images. So I'm going to click the little eye so you can see where I'm swiping. Up there where that bright spot was, I think it can be fun to add a little light up there. So that's what I'm going to do. You can also add a little warmth if you like to the same area. I might do that. We'll see how that looks after it's done. But it can kind of give you the sense of a little sunlight perhaps coming from the back. If for some reason you decide you don't like what you've done, you can always erase it. Okay, you just rub over it and it takes it right off. You can see now that that part is actually erased. I'm going to go back to exposure. And again, I just want to add some light to that area. So I'm adding the light again. I think it erased the light as well when I erased. So that's just something fun you can do. And I'll show you in a few minutes how that can work with a black and white image. So I'm just going to hit my check mark. Just one more thing I want to show you. This is a powerful program. There's lots of things I could show you. I'm going to try to show you one more on this image, okay? This is called Selective, and if you click on the image, a letter is going to appear. That B stands for brightness. If I scroll down with my finger, I can choose to adjust brightness, contrast, or saturation. Okay, so I'm going to add a little contrast to my flowers. I think that might be helpful. So what I have to do is use my 2 fingers to pinch. I'm going to pinch, and the red reveals how much of the image is being impacted by my adjustment. Okay, so I'm really right there. It's mostly the flowers, which is what I want, which is good. And then if I scroll to the right, that increases the contrast on the flowers. And obviously if I scroll to the left, that decreases it. You can see it right there pretty well. That pretty much took all the interest out of the flowers. Okay, so I do obviously want to increase that. So that's one way that you can selectively adjust your image. You can also do it with your brush. If you wanted, some people enhance certain areas of their image using dodge and burn. Dodge means lighten, burn means darken. Okay, so maybe I just decrease the value to -5, and I'll turn on my mask so we can see it. I'm just going over each of the flowers, and it's going to darken them just a little. Okay, and that's what it looks like. Personally, I think that might be a little much, but it just depends on your image. You just have to play with it. So I'm going to erase that. The great thing is you can just undo it if you don't like it. Okay. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to show you on that image. When you're done, you would simply hit save. I like to just save a copy, and it will run through all those adjustments that you've made. And you would find it in your camera roll. The next edit I want to show you is this image. Okay. First of all, I'm going to take a look at the overall. I have in mind to convert this to black and white. So I'm going to look at the overall brightness and darkness. I'm scrolling to the right and I'm watching my histogram. And I see that it's not climbing the wall very much. So I think it's probably properly exposed about right there. I'm going to scroll up and check my contrast. And you notice that spreads out both ends of the histogram. Again, I'm going to make sure they're not climbing the walls and also that it doesn't look overly contrasty to me. But I think that does improve it a little bit from where we started. Because I intend to convert this to black and white, I think I may want to increase my shadows. Whoopsie, I think I just decreased them. So in other words, I want to increase the difference between the light areas and the dark areas of the image, just because it adds more drama. I'm going to watch my histogram and make sure it doesn't climb, because you can see now that's obviously too far. I'm losing detail. So I'm just going to bring it to the point where I don't lose detail, okay, by watching the histogram. I don't think I'm going to worry about the rest right now. I'm going to hit my check mark, and then I'm going to go down into my filters. I'm going to choose black and white, and I like to use just this one. It says contrast. You can actually adjust the filter itself. Again, kind of by the same means. There's more than one way to skin a horse. The only thing I don't like about this is that you can't see your histogram. If you wanted to actually add some sort of tint to your black and white, well, no, I'm sorry, that's not a tint. That actually allows you to selectively adjust different color channels in the image, if that makes sense. For example, the oranges, well, what's happening is it's just impacting that color in the image, okay? I'm just going to stick with neutral for now. That's maybe a little complex to get into. Anyway, I'm going to apply that filter. And then I like to go, sometimes I do these in different order, I actually am going to go to lens blur now. And again, this is where you can, I think, really improve the quality by using this lens blur feature. You really get more of the sense that it wasn't taken with an iPhone. Okay, so what I want is I want the floor to be out of focus, because that's what would have happened if I had taken it with my DSLR. So I want to make sure that is out of focus, but I want the little boy in focus, especially his face, okay? So I'm just going to adjust my blur strength a little to see what looks realistic. I think probably that looks pretty good. Now, this is where I think you can really I'm sorry. I want to go back to tune image, and I want to check the histogram again. I feel like it's climbing the left wall now, so I just want to check on that. I think what I need to do is go to shadows, perhaps. And adjust those upward just a little. I think we were losing some detail there, okay? Hope that made sense. Okay, so a really powerful tool with black and whites is this brush tool. I'm going to turn my mask on by hitting the little eyeball, and you can just go in. Let's see if I can zoom in a bit. You can lightly touch areas like the eyeballs. Right now they look red, but when I turn that off, I'm just basically adding a little bit more light there, okay? You can do it that way. There's other ways you could do it, but that's one way. You could, if you wanted to enhance the light that's coming from the left, I could just run my finger over that if I wanted. Could be kind of an interesting effect. You may or may not like that. If you don't like it, just erase it. Not a big deal. You might use the exposure to actually enhance the sense of vignette around the edges. And you can't actually see what I'm doing unless I turn on the mask. But I'm adding more of a vignette around the edges. And if we go under Selective, I think this is a really good way to do it. I'm going to put that on his face, and I'm going to scroll down to Contrast. And I'm going to scroll out. It's a little tricky just using your fingers. Okay, I'm pinching, and I'm trying to get this just basically on his face. On his clothes a little bit is okay too. And if I wanted to increase the contrast just on those areas, I would scroll to the right, decrease to the left. Some of that, again, is a matter of taste, but you can see like how flat it looks when I do that. So we want to make sure there's sufficient contrast to make the black and white look interesting. If you felt like maybe parts of his skin weren't bright enough, you could brighten up that face like that. I think that's probably a little much. Or if you felt it was too bright, you could darken it down. I think that the selective contrast for the selective contrast can really help out a black and white a lot. If you had, let's see, sorry about that. Okay, I was able to zoom in by actually pinching outward outside of the photo, okay? Whoops, every time I get on the photo, it starts applying healing brush to the photo. So I'm trying to zoom in a little bit to show you. There we go, it's letting me do it now. To show you, okay, if you want to pan around the photo, you have to hit the little rectangle in the box. And then you can pan around, okay? If you just lightly touch the screen over an area where maybe there's a blemish, it just makes it disappear, okay? These are actually freckles, but I'm just trying to show you for demonstration's sake that you can actually, that adjusted the shadow, so I don't care for that, but you can actually get rid of blemishes just by clicking on it, which is pretty cool. And now, I'm trying to zoom out. Yeah, not succeeding. Can be a little tricky. I'm just going to hit the check mark to get out of it. So I think that looks like a really nice black and white photograph. The only thing I don't like is I see my foot in the bottom right. So I might just try the healing brush for that. Okay. Ha! Look, there we go. It's gone. You can, of course, crop it any way you want. If you wanted to, you're just simply going to drag these corners with your one finger. I'm doing. Okay, if you wanted to just make it a little more of a rule of thirds, you could do that. The aspect ratio helps you determine if you want to crop it in a square, 3:2, 4:3, 5:4, depending on how you want to use it. You can choose any of those. I'm going to do 3:2. That just because I want to, I guess. Okay, so that crops it. So I don't really think there's anything else I would want to do to that one at this point. I'm just going to save it. And it's going to be on my camera roll, ready for wherever I may want to post it or potentially print it. I really hope this tutorial has been helpful for you. It's lots of fun to play around with, and I think it's amazing that you can do it all from your phone. So go check it out. Snapseed. Thanks a lot.